In this lesson, we're going to learn how we can instantiate our game health power-up into our game when our player health is in critical state. This will be a great opportunity for you to reflect upon the instantiate function. So let's get started on our very first power-up. So let's start by breaking this on down. We have a lot to cover in this one here. So let's first start out by creating a new empty game object. Alright, and what is this game object? This is going to be the position of where we are going to be spawning this power-up. So let's title this game object Health Spawn Health Power-Up. Let's do PU, Power-Up Spawn. Point, very important name. Alright, so let's add an icon to it. Let's give it, sure, a little circle or something like that. Why not? And now let's reset its position here. And what do we want to do? Let's just parent it to our WrapTucks character, so it's always following him along. Okay, so now we have it here, and let's reset this position now, because I want it to fall directly from above him. So I'm going to say 0, so it's always centered to his position. And the Y, let's just go up here. Let's make it spawn from the very top of this level. So let's just say 9, so it kind of falls from out of frame. So when our character is moving around, this point is always going to be directly above him. And whenever his health becomes critical, it's just going to spawn out this little band-aid power-up here for us. So let's go ahead and instruct Unity how to create this object. And the first step of that is we're going to be creating a new script called Health Power-Up. So let's get started on this here. Let's create a new C# script, and we'll say Health Power-Up, just like so. And let's assign that to that new game object that we created for our Health Power-Up spawn point. So let's open this up here and get started. Alright, let's just close these. Keep that open, and sure, I might want to reference that. But let's go look in here and let's do some organizations here. Alright, so let's start by creating the variables that we're going to need to actually make this happen. So let's go like this. Where to spawn our game object. Alright, and object source to clone. And what next? Let's go other script access for conditions, because we'll be in need of that as well. And this one also is going to have something unique, and this is going to be if we have launched or not. And you'll see why this is important coming up soon in this lesson here. Let's start by creating these variables now. So I want this to be a public transform, just like our last one. And I'm going to say health power up spawn point. And I'll just label that as so. And let's go down to object source to clone. So what do we want to clone? Let's clone our public game object. We want to store a game object in there. I'm just going to say health power up PFB, prefab, because that's what I'm going to be titling that game object when we have our source all set up here. And other source, other scripts here that we're going to need. I want to access my player state right there. So let's go private player state. Player state, give it a name, player state. All right, because we need to see if he's critical, right? And the last one we're going to do is a public Boolean variable. And let's just say power up launched. And this is going to default to being false right off the bat there. So basically, whenever we launch the power up, we're going to set that to true. And when we collect it, we're going to set it back to false. That way we can't double trigger these power ups. All right, so there's all our variables. So let's go down and start assigning some of these things now. Okay, and the ones that we want to assign are going to be in the awake function here. And what do we need to assign? We need to assign our, let's just go to our health power-up spawn point. All right, so let's move on here and let's gain access to our player state script. Cool, cool. That's all good. So let's just comment these out here. Let's say player state script, and let's go up here and say assigning our position of spawning. Excellent. All right. So there's all our variables created that we're going to need for this here. So now let's move back into Unity. I'm going to save this, and let's just close this off for now. And let's actually create this power up that we want. So let's go to our game art, and let's go to our environment, and let's find that Band-Aid object here. So let's go up here, health power up, and let's just assign this to our props layer here. All right, and you know what? I like it. Let's just reset it to 0. I don't need to worry about position because I just wanted to spawn right from the center of that. No scaling, nothing special needs to be happening here. So what do we need to do to create this prefab object here? I want to assign a script to detect when our player collides with this object. Let's activate that item collection script system that we created to set the number to the correct bandage item here, power up, and then that can take it away and restore his health. So let's go and create a new script right away here. So let's go into our scripts and let's create a new C# script. And let's title it Health Power Up Collection. All right, and let's assign it to this Health Power Up object here, Health Power Up Collection. And let's add a rigid body 2D to it so it'll fall down from the sky with gravity and all that good stuff. And then let's create our standard collider here. Let's go collider, box collider 2D. And let's select this and scale it down just to fit this Band-Aid object here. There we go. Awesome. So now it'll hit the ground and stop wherever it lands, and our character, if it falls on him, sure, you can just collect it, or we can just walk on into it. Alright, so that's all set up in terms of prefab action here. So let's just clean this up a little bit, and let's open up this health pickup collection script and figure out what we need to do here. So with this script, basically all I want to do is I want to have it so when our character walks into this object, it's going to activate that item collection system script here. Let's go back in here because it's been a while since we've been there. Alright, so now remember we created this whole script where we have this item collection switch, and when we go down here to case 3, it is our collect health power up, and this will set our player health to critical false and refresh our health. So let's go and, you know what, I want to add one more thing to this. Just thinking in terms of logic, what we want to do is when we collect this health power up, I want to go into our health pickup collection, health power up script, and I want to access this bool pickup launched, and I want to set this back to false. So what we need to do is we need to quickly gain access to this script here, health pickup, or power up, sorry. So let's go up here and let's just quickly gain access to that. So let's go like so, and let's go private health power up, and I'm just going to say health power up as the title, and let's go like so, and let's just copy one of these to use as a base here. Okay, so now we have access to that script. So let's go down here and let's go, when we collect this health power up, let's go health power up launched equals false. So that's all good to go now. Let's just clean that up. So now this case is all set up to fully collect this health power up. So now let's go into our health power up collection script that we just started to add to this prefab object. And let's finish setting up this prefab object so we can go ahead and finish off our health power up system here. Let's go back into here now, and what do we want this thing to do? First of all, we want it to detect when our player runs into this object, and to set our item collection system to item number 3 to collect this and perform all the statements that we just saw in our switch container there. So let's start setting this up here. So first off, we need to actually create a variable. Let's go private, and let's say item collection system, item collection system. All right, so now we need to gain access to this script so we can set the case number. So let's go in here and let's set up this void awake. So now let's go item collection system. Alrighty, cool. So now let me just create a quick comment here saying gain access to our collection switch. All right, very important. Okay, so now let's go down here, and as you've seen, we've used on trigger enter so many times that You should be very familiar with them now. This time we're going to switch it up a little bit here. So let's go void, instead of on trigger enter, let's go on collision enter. Collision enter 2D. It's the exact same thing. The only reason why I'm using a collision this time is because this is not set to a trigger. It's a colliding object still. All right, that's the only difference here. All right, so because it's not a trigger, it's a collider, we'd have to use on collision enter this time. So everything else is the same. So if other dot game object dot tag is equal to player, our game player. So if our game player walks into this power up, let's do something here. Let's go like this. Let's go item collection system dot, and then we need to gain access to that item number variable that our switch is reading. Item number is popping up there, so it means our link is working. And 3, because that was the number case that we set up to be our health power up. All right, moving on down here. What do we want to do after this? I want to make this power up disappear from our level. So I'm going to call upon our good old friend destroy, and I'm just going to say game object. And because I'm not putting any time as a float value after this, it's going to destroy immediately. So what's happening here? We will, let's just comment this out, we will collect our power up, perform our switch system, and then remove power up from our level. All right, so there's the long version of it there. So that's all. We don't actually need an update function for this one. So that is the script that we will save and apply to that bandage object, and we'll have our prefab ready to be set up here. So let's go back into Unity for a sec here, and let's go like so. Let's go to let's find that health power up object, and we can see we have our health power up collection script on there, and it's all ready to go. Awesome, awesome. I'm just going to close it here so it's not so overwhelming at this point. Okay, character throw, I'll keep that open for now, and minimize that. So here we go. Our bandage is all set up to become its own prefab now. Awesome, awesome. So health power up, let's go and create this prefab very quickly. Create prefab game object, and let's say health power up underscore prefab. All right, and let's drag this object right on there. Perfect, that's all good to go, and I can remove it from my scene now. So let's click back to this health pickup spawn point, and you can see we have our health pickup prefab, which is our source object. Let's click and drag this and assign it there. And our health power up spawn point we manually assigned within our script, so we don't have to worry about that. And right now you can see our health power up is not launched yet, so that's going to be set up in our logic that we're going to create here. So let's open this back up. So let's go into our update here and create our condition of when to launch this power up. So let's set up the condition to actually launch it. If player state is critical. Remember, because whenever his health goes into critical, we want to launch this. But there's a few things I'm just adding here to kind of stop glitches. So let's say if player state is dead, is not dead, sorry. So if he dies, I don't want to be launching power-ups after that's already happened. So that doesn't make sense in our game. If he is not dead, and let's go if power-up you launched is not true, so if it's false, which is this Boolean variable we created here, if this is false, then launch it. The reason why this variable is so important here, because this is an update function. It's going to be doing this every single frame. So if we didn't have this, it would be, oh, if he's critical and if he's not dead, then launch, 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 launch. Because every frame it's going to be, this is true, so it's going to launch hundreds of these things. So we need to use this as some sort of trigger to say, okay, it's been launched, so don't launch it anymore, so we don't have a million of these power-ups in our level. Okay, so there's our conditions here. So if all those conditions are met, what do we want? Well, first things first, I want to say power up launched equals true. this is going to stop it from spawning anymore after it spawned the first one. So that's very important. All right, and now we need to create a variable that's going to hold the new game object to clone, just like we did in the last one. But first I'm going to comment this out and say set launch to true to stop condition from launching a million. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and create a new game object variable to store our prefab game object, just like we did in the last lesson. So game object, we're going to create a new game object, and we're going to give it a name. Let's just say clone, clone health power up. Alrighty, so now we have that. So let's say new variable to store our cloned game object. So we need to create that variable right away. And now we need to assign that variable to be an instantiated version of our prefab, just like we've done before. So let's go like this. Let's say clone health power up is now equal to, we want to make it equal to a new game object. Game object. All right. And now let's instantiate this game object. So we need to instantiate. And we want to say, what do we want to instantiate? This object source that we are trying to clone here, which is health power up prefab. This is our prefab game object. Enter. And now we need to say, where do we do this? So let's get our spawn point here. Health power up spawn point. Power up and spawn. I'm just making sure all my capitals are all good. Dot transform. And let's copy this and do dot rotation. To complete that, rotation. And semicolon that beast up. Quite a lengthy one there, but that's all there is to it. So let's go like this. Let's say assigning our prefab and creating our new game object to fall. Alrighty, that's all done. Okay, so we have done our scripting. All right, so let's close that, and I'm having an issue here. So let's figure out what this is here. So, dot transform. It says something about, oh, I see, transform. Sorry, I need to add dot position, and that needs to be transform dot rotation. Transform, it's very specific. We need to tell it, all right, get this variable, get the transform, and then get the rotation. And same with the position. Sorry, so that was my mistake. So now we save that out, and we should be all clear. Maybe I didn't. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, so let's see what happens here. So let's just do a quick test here. If it's critical, spawn that thing. There you go. And now I'm having an issue here where, as you can see, it's colliding with him, but it's not actually disappearing. So there you go. You can't do it because power up is launched. That's great. Just testing these little things out. So now why is this collision just not working? Well, let's quickly fix this. There's just a small little issue I want to show you. All right, so let's investigate this. Let's open up that health power up script once more. And let's see here. Oh, sorry, health power up collection script, which is attached to that prefab object. And we can see void collision enter 2D. You can see this is my mistake. It's actually on collision enter 2D. So it wasn't actually detecting the collisions with our player here. It wasn't giving me an error, which I would have imagined it would have, but it didn't. So just always remember on collision enter, okay? Not just collision enter. So now let's save that, and let's minimize this, and let's test this out once more here. So let's go WrapTucks character, and let's find that critical health. Perfect. All right, so it is colliding. So now let's test this out quickly in a realistic way. So let's go over here, and let's say my health is at 1. Now it's at 1. It's in critical. So, okay, so I've seen this, and now let's go and, hey, there you go. You can see my health is not critical anymore, and my player health is back up to 3. Perfect. So that's it for this lesson here. We have our health power-up system working perfectly. And now let's move on to the next module, where we are going to be finalizing all this gameplay puzzle experience, and we're going to see how we can make WrapTucks escape once and for all. Thanks for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed this module. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next one. I'll see you there.